Hello and welcome back. My name is Curtis Storr. I'm a trainer with Family Investor, and I'm going to cover a subject today since I have received some requests from my fellow investors to get this information out about how to pick an advisor. Pretty important thing, and it's going to be included in our online training also. I think I'm going to be putting it under the retirement category, since that's where it belongs, basically, because when you get ready to plan your retirement, you definitely need to seek out advisors to help you with that, because you need to tap into their expertise. And if you go online and you start Googling how to pick an advisor, it's overwhelming how many hits you're going to get. And a lot of the advice on there, I find, is I call pigeonhole. It's just based on certain types of advisors, and then you have to go through them. So what we do at Family Investor is basically try to cover your options and what's out there, what to ask, which I'll do in this training. So to simplify things, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this, is if anyone starts a conversation about what they have, what they sell, then it's obviously they're not going to give you the solution based on your dreams and goals. If they never ask you if you just go in there and say, I'm considering getting life insurance or investing in stocks, getting an annuity, mutual funds, starting my own 401k, any of those topics, if you go in there and they don't ask you what your goals are, they really can't give you the advice that you need, and they're probably just going to, what I call, pigeonhole you into their solution. And sometimes pigeonhole conversations can be good. I see it on Investopedia all the time. I'm an advisor there, and maybe they're doing the clients a favor by not talking about too much, because I know when I start speaking about this, that, and the other thing, when it comes to a person's portfolio, it can be overwhelming. So I do it in stages, and I do bits and pieces here and there. I call it planting seeds to get your juices flowing, so you can start thinking about these things. And then we build off of it. Just like Family Investor, the trainings are always real basic, and then they build on those. So you maintain a certain comfort level, because it's about comfort. If you're not comfortable about the answers and the information you're getting, you're going to say no. And I think there's a saying out there that says, an unknowing mind always says no. Something like that. I probably slaughtered that one, but anyways, let's have some fun with this and get through it. If a good advisor is going to always start with that. What are your needs, dreams, goals? But once again, shouldn't just focus on one area, and because they might shift into an area of one thing they know and say, okay, life insurance policy is what you need, when you might need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Everybody's different. So it boils down to, what are your individual needs? Because each individual is different. I always say one shoe doesn't fit all. So, and another thing is, I always recommend you speak to several advisors, because no advisor knows everything. And that's why, even in real estate, I've met advisors that they always sit back and say, yeah, I've been doing this for 25 years. And they still don't know everything. And I know a little bit from different experts. So I've been gathering this knowledge in my head. And so when I sit down with someone who talks, sells themselves of their experience of 25 years, 25 years doing one thing, which is great. You're an expert at doing that one thing. But when it comes to a person's portfolio and retirement plan, it has to do with a slew of different things. And so they need to have a team. So who's on your team? Who's working with you in your office? Took me a while. I found an office that has financial advisors, agents that work with broker dealers, all of those. And the reason is I want to know as what I need to know, and ask the tough questions that you probably won't ask, so I can get the answers for you, and you can see it on my blog or in my trainings. Because I have 25 years in real estate, and I still don't know everything, so I have teams. There's a team that does property management. There's a team that does the repairs. There's teams that work on the financing. There's other financiers. There's two of us that do the numbers and stuff. And yes, we kind of bleed over in each other. So I know how to make repairs. I have a little, I've done construction, I've done fix and flips. Still, I don't know everything. And we don't all fit into one expertise, if you know what I'm trying to say here. So better to work with an advisor that has a team is basically what I'm saying. And know that what they're doing is best for you. And if they're confident in what they're doing is best for you, they won't be afraid to tell you to shop around. I will tell you to always go talk to other advisors, go talk to another life insurance agent, and come back to me and tell me what they told you. Because either I will tell you that, oh my gosh, they have a better product, and maybe I should be aligning with them and working with them. Or I could show you what's wrong with their product or what's different. It's not always wrong, but what's different, but it may be wrong for you. Because it's not about what's wrong for me, it's what's wrong for you. You came in with a dream, goals, and stuff, so you need a product that fits those dreams and those goals. Okay, so let's get on to the next slide. You need to know what to ask, right? So there's many agents out there that are captive, and I'll define that a little further in a little bit here, but it's clear they can't give you the big picture solution since they don't have access to all what you need. So they may have never been trained. They may have never worked for another company. Captive agent is similar. I always give the analogy of working for Chevrolet. A salesman who's worked for Chevrolet all his life only knows Chevrolet, right? One that's worked for all the different dealerships, that might be a better agent, even though he's captive and he's now working for Ford. He might be a better, but is he going to tell you, hey, Chevy's going to be better for you, from what I'm hearing you tell me, if you understand what I'm getting at. I'm not saying they don't have the best product for you. I'm just saying, with my experience, they can only provide you with what their company lets them. And I've heard captive agents say this so many times, because I asked that question, are you a captive agent? And I found they usually say, we can broker other products, but XYZ company has the best, which may be true, but it also may be wrong. And once again, wrong for you. It's the same, another example I give is like banks. If you walk into ABC Bank and you say, I need a mortgage to buy a house, ABC Bank is going to sell you ABC Bank's mortgage product. They're not going to go to go to XYZ Bank. They got a better product that fits your needs better. They just won't say that. They can lose their job for doing that. That's just a fact of business. You don't go to one hamburger shop and they sell you someone else's hamburger. It just doesn't happen. So this person that's advising you at the bank has no choice but to sell you the product that you walked in and asked for. A mortgage broker, on the other hand, a mortgage broker has access like an independent life insurance agent has access to whatever's out there. They can get access to whatever and they'll choose what's best for their clients because that's what's going to keep them in business. If you sell bad products to somebody, you're going to lose business. It makes sense, doesn't it? And some of them. One of the questions I have on here says, "Do you work for an IMO?" And the key thing is owned by an insurance company, and I'll explain what an IMO is on the next slide. But these are questions you need to ask, and just know that some agents out there may be limited in some manner to the advice they can give you. Just be aware of that. That's what these trainings are for. So we go over to the next slide. Independent Marketing Organization is IMO. That's why we call it IMO, because that's a mouthful. But what they do is they're like a go-between between the life insurance companies and the agents. And what they do is they provide agents who are independent agents, and they give them training, and that's what I've done. I've gone to several IMOs. They help with the education. You bring in a client scenario to them. So I'm hooked up with several IMOs, and I could go to each one of them. But I have asked for illustrations, they're called, when you have a client and you have a certain scenario and what their goals are and what they want to put into a life insurance policy. You can go to your IMO, give them the information on the client, and they'll come back with a product. I have noticed from my experience that they will tend to go towards certain products. And it could be because they have a quota to meet. And it's listed on here. You know, when you have an agent working with an IMO, unless they're like myself and they can see that whenever you bring a client to them, they're gonna say, oh, this company, maybe there's a quota they need to meet to get bonuses from that company. And the worst case scenario, but it's not, I'm not saying bad, but worst case scenario, they're owned by an insurance company, so they're always going to want to sell you that insurance company's product because they're owned by that insurance company. So, you know, there's always some sort of pressure being put on representatives at different levels to sell you certain companies' products. It's just a given fact in business. It's in our market. That's what happens. Okay, so moving on. Oh, did I go backwards? Sorry. Broker dealer. You should. I had to include this because I promised I would include what your options are. A broker dealer is a type of agent that sells securities, but if you're brand new to building your financial future, this is not where you need to start. And I get into that in our trainings. My logo has a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid is the higher risk stuff. You build your foundation first, which is more your guaranteed products. You want to get into guaranteed products early on and put money there where you know you're going to get a return on your money. And even better, you're not going to lose your principal investments. So if you're talking to a broker dealer, you have to understand, they make money off commission and fees. That's why you always hear how high they are. I think there's an ad out now that are slamming them, saying we have the lowest fee. Anyways, not an area I want to get into right now until you have built your financial foundation first. Because securities is definitely could be high return, could be high loss, but that's why it's high risk. That's why it's at the top. And the thing about the pyramid I talk about in risk and reward training is that it gets smaller towards the top. That means you put less money into those products, because your foundation needs to be big and support you, because otherwise your financial house is going to topple over without a good foundation. And you really need to ask about the downsides of these from a broker dealer, and they have to be willing to tell you, even though they may not be willing to tell you, because they're going to scare you away with some of the things that they're going to tell you. Just talk to a broker dealer and you'll know when you start asking about what are the downsides. And I think the first thing that they have to tell you is you can lose your entire investment. Registered investment advisor, same thing. They sell you stocks, mutual funds, bonds, variable annuities. They can be more independent in their advice because they're not working directly with a broker dealer. Once again, I'm going to keep it light on this because they're basically the same thing. There's just less oversight than with a broker dealer, because or an agent working for a broker dealer, because these guys are registered, and so they don't have to work with a broker dealer. But then again, there's not the oversight. There's the SEC that tries to protect us from fraud and Ponzi schemes and things like that. But even they can't have the same level of oversight that if you're working with an agent that works with a broker dealer. But this is not where you need to start with building your wealth. And fee-only advisors. My experience, I have learned never pay an upfront fee. Even in real estate investments, every time I paid an upfront fee, I would say 20 out of 21 times, whatever those are. I didn't do it that many times. I was unhappy with it. The only reason that they charge an upfront fee is most likely once you understand the downsides and the risk involved, most likely you're not going to get the product, so that they need to get paid. So they want to get paid now, even if you say no. And some of them may offer great products, but it's just been my experience that they haven't, and I'm not willing to pay upfront fees to find out they don't have the right product. Okay, here we go. Get an advisor. Definitely set up an appointment. Send me an email, support@familyinvestor.net. If you're seeing this blog for a limited time, I have to say that, for a limited time, for a limited amount of people, I only have so much bandwidth. I'm still a real estate investor, but I am willing to work with a handful of people and go over your portfolio and tell you my opinions of what you need to do. A lot of the stuff you'll gather options on the website, but I am willing to meet with some of you to go over your portfolio and give you some ideas of where you should. And you should always end up with a customized plan that fits you. And there's another video I think I put on the blog about CPR, Comprehensive Portfolio Review. Go watch that one too. And let us know if you're interested in talking about that. And once again, I'm going to thank you for coming to Family Investor and listening to these blogs to educate yourself so you could become wealthy and change your family's legacy.